Hi, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to talk about GameStop starting from April 26th trading day to the next couple of days as well. I'm going to analyze the graph to give you the lows and highs, essentially price target predictions. Now, quick disclaimer before I begin, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional, and everything I do share with you is just my opinion. It is not advice. So please do not buy or sell based off information I give you or the opinions I do form. Please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. And if we look at the graph right now, some interesting stuff, pretty crazy. I think we bottomed and all stuff. So we're at $151.18 as of the close of April 23rd, 2021. And just in case you're new to the channel, I'm just going to quickly go through this. There's an upward trend support line right here dating back since 2020 and bounced off support, went to the upside, came back down. So I just want to show a cycle. So it came down on support, went up to the upside, had a downward trend resistance line. If I showed, there's a lot of touch points and all that stuff, but either way, bounced off December, the upward trend support line, had a false breakout right here, roaring kitty enters, perfect timing, obviously short squeeze right here, goes to the upside, meets resistance that I'll explain, all that stuff, continues to the downside. Now, the thing is though, I was anticipating that we're going to bounce off this upward trend support line. If you've been a viewer of my channel, you know that this was something I was anticipating. So essentially we're getting close to it anyway. So, and then bounce up to the upside. Now, are we going to bounce up to the upside that dramatically? Not guaranteed. We could easily just basically hug this upward trend support line. And not even just that. Is it a guarantee that this upward trend support line will hold? No, it's not a guarantee. And that's why I'm hoping for this backup right here. So we have a September 2020 upward trend support line as well, and has a bunch of touch points. If I zoomed in, they look cleaner. Like for example, right here, it looks a lot cleaner hypothetically, but either way, I digress. Broke the upward trend support line in September, and then relied on this December upward trend support line. So that's what I'm hopefully banking on if it breaks it, and it could still break that upward trend support line. So it doesn't have to hold and bounce up to the upside. It could easily still break all of them. And then the last one, but the problem is, if it breaks all these upward trend support lines right here that I'm going to show, the issue is, yes, it could rely on this horizontal support level right here that I'll explain about a little bit between the $115 price point, give or take, but I'll explain more once I get there, is even if it bounces off it to the upside, I don't think we have much to really play. I'm kind of worried if that happens. That's the problem. So there's still hope for the stock, but I'm gonna make a short squeeze video, hopefully released soon right after this video, or probably in the morning, explaining the short squeeze play for the stock because I've been asked quite a bit for it, but I'll elaborate more. Now, another cycle I want to show is, before I get to that cycle, there's a downward trend resistance line dating back from the all-time high of January 28th, January 27th. Then it knocks us down on March 10th as well right here. So this is a downward trend resistance line. Plus we have these two double downward trend resistance lines. If I zoomed in, they look a lot cleaner. Like for example, yes, there's false breakouts, but like for example, right here, there's two touch points, it's back tested, a couple false breakouts. But then right here, there's resistance right here, stuff like that. I just don't want to zoom in nonstop to all the touch points. So upward trend support line right here that I want to show, and it back tested as resistance twice, two false breakouts, support, false breakout, so on and so forth. So came down, and this goes back in February 4th, 2021. So right here, February 4th, 2021. Came down support, went up to the upside, resistance conglomerate, came down to support, resistance, the whole 9 yards, down to support, and then resistance. I thought it was going to come back down support. Roaring kitty enters again, potentially great entry level again, just like last time where he entered in the next week or so, it went back up to the upside. So entered here, broke the downward trend resistance line. That's awesome stuff. The problem is we're meeting a bunch of moving averages, horizontal resistance, so on and so forth. So we're pretty much consolidating for the most part sideways. The unfortunate part is we broke the upward trend support line right here that dates back since February. So the unfortunate part is now we're going to have to start relying on the December one. So hopefully that holds through and goes to the upside. Now, it technically does not necessarily need to go to the upside once it hits it and dramatically go up, because the problem is, I think most likely what's going to happen is it's probably going to start hugging it, and for the following reasons. So because we're below all three moving averages. Now, is it going to go to the upside? I believe so. This is the 1 month chart, and the MAC line's in the positive. The reason why that's significant is this is a moving average direction in terms of, is it bearish or bullish. So this is a bullish indication, which is optimistic. So once we move up, I think we might consolidate until April 27th, maybe April 28th as we go into earlier of the day. And then we could continue hugging the upward trend support line. But at least I personally think we bottomed if you're relying on this upward trend support line in December right here. If you think it's going to break it, then you'd probably still go a little bit lower. So the utmost lowest you could go if you're relying on this upward trend support line right here is pretty much on the $140 price point. More accurately is between $141 $142 price point. But I'm trying to account for false breakouts too. So if you don't care about false breakouts and you're like, no, I think this is the last straw, then $142, $141. But if you want to account for false breakout, 140. Is there more support? Yeah, there is. There's like, for example, this mediocre mid-range support level, downward trend support level. You can see bounce off here, bounce off here. There's a couple bounces like here too as well. That could hold us. And if it drops to that level, let me just move this right here. If it drops down to that level, depending on when it drops, you could go down to 135. Now, like always, I cover the upside and downside just in case, because nobody knows. Some awesome news could come out tomorrow, could skyrocket, or sorry, not tomorrow, because today's Saturday, April 24th. It could come out on Monday trading day, April 26, 2021, and it could spike up dramatically to the upside, or some horrible news could come out, and you could just start tanking. So there's that. Now, to the I'm going to cover the upside first because I think that's most likely the probable cause, or like the most probable case scenario that's going to happen. And I'm going to cover the downside in case as well, just in case, so that way you know the bottom. So the thing is though, will it go a little bit lower? I think it can. So again, like I stated, 100, let's just say 142, 141, 143, that's still in play. I know $144.70 was the other trading day's lowest. But let's just say it goes to the side, whatever, upside and all stuff. Now, what we need to break is the 150 range. So I have resistance between $150 to $155 and $157 essentially, in terms of like the horizontal resistance levels. Now, what's going to happen is even if we go up, we're going to have resistance at these moving averages. Not guaranteed, but it's still a possibility, because if you're below them, they could act as resistance. But that's not always the case. You could just break through them, like right here, just broke through it. I'm pretty sure it didn't get knocked down. Essentially didn't really get knocked down, just went through it like no problem. But you can see it acted as support when we're above it. So it could act as support when you're above it. You can see right here, just pretty much rode on the moving average right here. So pretty clean bounces off it. Now, plus one false breakout, but either way. So if we go up to above it, we could have resistance at $153.77, around that range, give or take. We'll have resistance on this upward trend support line that acted as resistance before, just in case to show you right here, two clean bounces as resistance. So I'm anticipating it's going to count as resistance. That's why I think 150 is going to be the range, $150. It's going to be quite significant to pass. Plus it coincides with the moving average right here, so give or take. So $155 right there, 155 still, between $155 to $156. Then $157 plus or minus a couple dollars as well, depending on when we meet this moving average too as well. So the longer we take, let's just say we meet it on April 27th, we don't get to it until like midday April 27th, then it's going to be difficult to pass $160 price point. So on and so forth. Now, once we pass that, we meet additional horizontal resistance levels. So the clean $160 price point obviously is going to be difficult to pass because it's a psychological number when they're clean numbers. But the $162 price point, between $167 to $169 price point, and then the 160 range, I'm not too worried about the most part. I want to pass the $170 price point for the most part. So if we pass 172 to 174, we're on the right track because we have a resistance, horizontal resistance, between $172 to $174 price point. Then we need to pass 175, 176, and $177 price point. Mainly 177, because that 177 is quite strong. I think the other day we tested it and we got $177.10 or something like that. Still did not pass it, so it's quite strong. It's gonna be the one that's probably gonna, like, after that there is more horizontal resistance. Is this chunk right here is the biggest chunk that I'm worried about. But 177, at least you know you're on the right track. Now after 177, you're going to have quite a bit of horizontal resistance between $189 to $226 price point. a lot of horizontal resistance, not necessarily including them all. Like I don't want to include them all and just detail every single one. So you'll know you're in a good shape once you pass $226. The issue is this downward trend resistance line right here that dates back from the all-time high of January 27th, January 28th, 2021. The problem is, let's say if you spike up right off the bat on April 26th, you're going to have issues around the ballpark of like $223, $222 price point, which coincides with 226, making it even harder to pass the 226 price point. Now, like I stated, I'm going to release a short squeeze video soon, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully release it today, maybe tomorrow morning, but by the time I'm done it. But I'm going to explain, so the plan is once you break this downward trend resistance line, I'm expecting a little bit of a good run up. Now the thing is though, in terms of short squeeze, I'm going to explain because that plays a role as well, and I'll elaborate more on that. But those are the goals, to pass that. Now let's just say I think most likely what's going to happen is pretty much going to hug this upward trend support line. At least we hold it though. That's the main plan. If that's the case, or even hop up to this upside right here. Essentially, if you're thinking that by April 28th, morning of April, or actually end of April 27th, because the morning of really anything could happen. So the close of April 27th, you're pretty much thinking that's going to be around the low $160 price point. So $159 or the low 160, so between $159 to $163, $164 price point. If you don't think anything significant is going to happen, but at least we'll still go to the upside and pretty much solidifying that this upward trend support line is going to hold for now, temporarily, at least, hopefully, being optimistic though. So there's that. Now, if you think it's going to drop down to here, then you're looking at closing at $147 price point. And these are the scenarios. Now, if we go to the upside, again, like I said, need to pass $226 price point. Now, if we pass it, it's not all like rainbows and sunshine. We technically still need to pass $250 price point. But the thing is, though, I think short squeezes might be playing a little bit here. So we might spike up dramatically where $250 price point will cause us issues, but could pass it relatively quick. We'll see. We'll have to assess it. But essentially $254 to $257 price point within the 250 range is going to be quite difficult to pass. After that, we're going to have to assess it. Now, if we go to the downside, this is where you might have to be a little bit careful just in case. So like I stated, between the $142, $141 price point, if you're relying on this upward trend support line right here back in December 2020. Now, if we drop lower, it technically coincides with this downward trend resistance line, but it depends on when it crosses, which I probably should have extended. I'll just extend it right now, amateurly, just right now in terms of drawing. So if you were to drop down and start hugging this downward trend resistance line, you're looking on I don't know, midday April 28th or beginning of April, end of April 27th, somewhere around there, somewhere between morning of April 28th, end of April 27th, closing day, to close off at $128 price point. The only problem I have about this is it goes against the grain because you have the cycle of going up and down, and towards a triangle this direction, right? And then this also just pretty much an inner triangle also going to this direction to where it's like trying to squeeze in and close. And when it meets up, close, it could be mid-May or something like that, because we could hypothetically continue on this cycle right here where it's just it bounces up to the upside, but then it goes down and then knocks out and goes all the way until it meets the triangle, which I'm not really doing a good job closing in on the triangle. But either way, the problem is if it goes down here, then that goes against this triangle right here. Unless I've been missing something. I might be missing something, but it's not all hope is lost. Yeah, we still have a potential short squeeze, but I think it'll be less strong to the upside, but I'll explain that a little bit later in terms of the next video. But yeah, so there's that. Now, if we break that, you're relying as well as $136 support level right here in terms of this upward trend support line right here, but coincides depending on when you drop on it, either way. Now, if you rely on only horizontal support levels, so right here, right now at $151.18, if we're to drop lower, you have support at $150 price point anyway to begin with, but then you have support between $147 to $144, $143 price point, which pretty much played a role anyway too, $144 right there. And then essentially the $140 range in general, the $140 price point overall kind of thing. And then the $135, $136 price point, essentially $136 to $130 anyway, but there's a strong support at $135, $136. And then after you drop to that, you're looking at, these are pretty much gone, so these don't coexist. Coexist, couldn't even say it right. But I apologize, I didn't check the horizontal support levels between the 130 to the 119. The only thing is though, I do know between $122 to $123 price point, there is quite a bit of horizontal support, but these were originally for the December, September, earlier here, I think somewhere. But between $130 to $119 price point, which I'm going to explain a little bit further, there is support at 123 horizontal, somewhere around there, plus or minus a couple of dollars. I just can't remember if there was horizontal support, anything between $123 to $130 price point. I apologize again, I probably should have checked. I'll update you in the next video. And then in terms of, because I don't think it's going to go down personally, but that's just my opinion. This is not advice. Please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. And then if we go lower than that, we have support. So if it goes an extreme breakout, we have support between $119 and $112 price point range. The thing is though, hopefully it bounces up on the upside between $114, $115 price point, just because at least it would save some kind of provides some kind of hope that we're still continuing to the upside, right? And it would be a dramatic false breakout, but at least there'll be hope. Any lower than 112, I would start losing hope, to be honest, personally. There's still a chance. We would have to get updated on the in terms of how much shares are being shorted, because right now, as of March 31st, 2021, in terms of shares being shorted, in terms of float, is roughly about 39%, I think, somewhere around there. I'm gonna double check for the next video, but it's around roughly about 39%, give or take, in terms of shares being shorted for the float. So I don't think that's necessarily enough to be a massive run up, just because when we were here, we had over 100% shorted. So, but yeah, I'll elaborate more, but those are the levels. Hopefully bounce up to the upside. I'm optimistic personally that this upward trend support line is going to hold, given the MACD line is in the positive for the 1 month chart, and it's still moving pretty relatively well right now at the moment. But that's basically it for the video. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you liked it. If you did, consider dropping a like. It does help out the channel. Thank you so much for that. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you like videos like this, or other stock videos, or other financial videos, consider subscribing so you'll be notified the next time I do upload those videos. Thanks again for awesome support. And that's basically it. I'll see you in the next video, and take care for now. Peace.